Welcome into the Press Box Fantasy Football Show. Glenn Clark, Kyle Ottenheimer, and of course, your lovely and talented host, Mr. Ken Zalis. Good morning, KZ.
Good morning.
How are you, my friend?
I am fantastic.
Yeah. Trying to make a trade over there.
I am trying to make a
Talking
trade.
about us all morning.
Yeah. Well, somebody wants to trade Devontae Adams because his team in a dynasty league is not good. So I offered Kyle Pitts and my first-round pick next year. And then
I think BB pieces that would be helpful
yeah,
moving
in a
forward.
dynasty league.
Yeah, sure.
And he just wants to expand it with a bunch of garbage and.
It's trying to muddy the waters, if you will.
It's a very simple deal. It's a 2-for-1.
Right. Make the trade, for God's sakes. What are you doing?
And you offer me somebody that is maybe he doesn't know him from Baltimore.
Yeah, right. I was unaware that you have no interest in that particular player. Hey, Glory Days Grill's popular Oktoberfest menu is back. It features their delicious chicken schnitzel, 2 chicken cutlets hand-breaded in herb panko and pan-fried until golden brown, served with mustard cream sauce, mashed potatoes, and roasted vegetables. Their menu also includes your favorites like the Oktoberfest Brewers Platter, the Brewers Sausage Sandwich, Prussian pretzel rolls, slam dunk pretzels, and apple cobbler. All of these meals pair well with their many Oktoberfest beers and Angry Orchard on draft. Dine on their patios or in their dining rooms or order online at glorydaysgrill.com and pick up your favorites to take home. Glory Days Grill has been proud to serve the community for the last 25 years and says thank you, fans. Get your questions in right now at Glenn Clark Radio. We will pose them to KZ here in a few minutes. But I feel like this is the appropriate thing for me to do. Do you want a hug?
Why? I know.
Do you want a hug?
No, I'm okay.
Right.
I've had some time to process, and it's a very sad day.
Of course, Ken's struggling this week because of James White being placed on IR.
It's a bummer.
Yes, it is. As for doing this show, as long as we have, you all know that my affection for James White goes, used to be Danny Woodhead, and then, is James White, and he's out for the year with a hip injury, and it just sucks.
What does it mean for any other back in New England, if anything? It means
absolutely nothing because
no one's going to be him.
No one's him. I mean, J.J. Taylor, if you're looking for maybe somebody that's going to catch some pass. I know Bolden got a bunch of touches last week, but they just couldn't run the ball at all. So it's still Damian Harris who's sort of game. If they fall behind, he's game script dependent, I guess we want to call him. But he's the best back there. Somebody said, are they going to sign somebody? Whatever. I mean, there's no one out there. So it's Harris. I mean, if you want to take a flyer on J.J. Taylor at the end of your bench, sure.
I took a bunch of Ramondre Stevenson flyers to start the year.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to probably come back at some point after he's off IR in a couple weeks. But this whole IR thing with 2-3 weeks, it's very difficult to follow anymore. But it's Harris. I wouldn't spend a lot of fab, more than $1 on any of these guys. I wouldn't rush out if you're one of these people that likes to have the top waiver wire and you have a top 3 waiver wire. I wouldn't rush out they're not helping you.
All right, let's talk about Chuba Hubbard. We don't know how long it's going to be, but it does. If you were panicked about Christian McCaffrey on Thursday night, then the news since then has been better for you.
Although Rule said that they are hopeful he could be back after 3 weeks. So I don't know why they wouldn't put him on IR in that case.
Yeah, I actually heard coming in today, somebody said that it's possible. They had one of these NFL doctors. They said it's possible that he's back for week 5. It'll just depend on how quick a healer he is and the progress he makes in practice. But look, I mean, at this point, if Hubbard was on your waiver wire, he had to be added. If you were a McCaffrey owner,
I swore I wasn't going to use waiver priority to get him. Apparently, I put a claim in for him in one league, and I'm feeling like a dope for having done that.
You know what?
I traded for him.
I look at it this way.
Well, but you're a McCaffrey owner.
I'm just desperate at running back.
I look at it this way. For the next 2 weeks, he's going to get an audition. I think the kid can play. I thought he could play a couple years ago, and then they said he ran a little slow, so his draft status went down. Whatever. Would have been maybe the number 1 running back taken if he had come out the year before, or at least in the top 3. They're going to use him very similarly. Stop saying he's not Christian McCaffrey. Well, no, duh, nobody is.
Neither was Mike Davis.
Yeah, Mike Davis wasn't, and this is a better athlete than Mike Davis, and Mike Davis was wildly, effective in that offense. I think the offense that they run, the running back, he's going to be a top 20 running back for me this week. He's going to be a top 20 running back as long as McCaffrey's out. But if you own McCaffrey, he was a must-have. I told somebody, I said, you're 70% of your fab. I mean, what are you holding it for?
Right. And he should have been on your team to begin with.
Right. He should have been on your team to begin with. If you weren't a McCaffrey owner, somebody asked me, he goes, do I use my number one waiver priority on him? Yes, you do. Because at worst, McCaffrey come back and shows he's healthy for 2 weeks, and you trade him to the McCaffrey owner for something you need. I mean, this is easy for me. Everybody should have been trying to get this player if he wasn't already on a roster. And if you own him and you don't own McCaffrey, start talking now to the McCaffrey owner and say, hey, you think he's going to be back, but I'm offering this guy to you now. Sell him high, because once McCaffrey's back, obviously,
there's not
there's no
much value
now,
at all.
No, but if you're a McCaffrey owner, obviously you're holding him, and
hamstrings can be tricky if re-injuring and all of that.
But you hold on to this guy. But I mean, top 20 guy. If somehow right now he's on a waiver wire, invite me to your league and go get him.
No, I don't think there's.
I don't think there is, but there are some leagues with really shallow benches and things like that.
Where are you with the Josh Gordon conversation?
I'm 8 years ago. He was good.
I'm very aware of that.
That's where I am.
So would you have? Hang on a second.
No.
Okay.
The answer is no.
Okay.
I wouldn't add him. I wouldn't. He has no value.
I'm not trying to argue that I did. I most certainly did not. But
even I didn't.
Whoa.
Well, see, that's all we need to know.
That's more amazing than Josh Gordon being available.
I mean, it was literally his last good year was 2013, folks.
I'm aware.
He's 30 now. I mean, he's 30.
I mean, that's not to say he couldn't still have some good games, but yes.
Sure.
And I think what people are reacting to is him being in Kansas City, where they have had no ability to establish anybody as the primary second option.
Right, but you still have Hardman, you still have Robinson, you still have Pringle, you have all these guys, and 90% of the targets go through two guys. So even if he's there, we're talking about a guy that you're hoping in a week.
It's Sammy Watkins at best. It's the kind of situation where he might have a huge game once in every blue moon, but they're,
I mean, you're praying for a 30-yard touchdown or whatever. No, he's not worth an ad. Yeah, I saw an insane amount of money.
That's nuts. Like, that's absolutely
insane.
If you are just picking somebody up, not on waiver, if you're using waiver priority, you're nuts. But if he's through waivers and he's sitting there, I can't be mad at any. My God, you're carrying somebody on your roster that's worthless too.
No, not that worthless. Not that. Not you're picking up the fifth wide receiver on a team who hasn't. He hasn't been good in 8 years.
I understand.
8 years.
I understand.
Seven, KZ, 7.
Name somebody.
I play in a league with you.
That retired.
But I play in a league with you where we're doing no kicker and no defense, and like the guys that we're picking up in that league are awful.
Yes, they
awful.
are, and there are guys available even in that league that I would take flyers on before I would take it with Josh Gordon. So no, he's a no for me. It's just somebody asked a question. I forgot how I answered the question. I mean, it's no. Just no. I don't know how else to say it. If you wasted, I'm sorry. If you wasted even $1 on Josh Gordon going on your team, just no. I mean, I'm sorry. You might as well go take your next dollar and just light it on fire, because that's what you just did.
Well, again, we're having two different conversations.
Either one.
I agree with you that there is no world in which you should be. I'm saying you are underselling how many roster spots in fantasy football leagues are being used on guys that are of no help whatsoever.
I guarantee you there are 3 guys more helpful than Josh Gordon.
I'm trying to look at guys that are available in your stupid league. In your stupid league, the top guys that are available are I would take Terrace Marshall.
There you
I
go.
would definitely
Right
do.
there.
Why is Terrace Marshall available?
I don't know. Shouldn't be. I maybe go make a move right now.
I'm dropping him on Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I wanted to believe in. I wanted to
too.
I wanted to believe in that guy, but he's just not there. I'm picking up Terrace Marshall in that league. Why is he available? That makes no sense whatsoever.
I don't know. I may have dropped.
Well, it's tough picking a week to play him and find.
No, that is a good point. That is a good point. Like, he's on your roster and he's just sitting there not playing him.
Right.
That's sort of the Terrace Marshall story to this point. But I like him a lot.
I like him a lot.
I can't help it.
And he's been
really
involved
like
a little
that
bit.
guy.
It'll be interesting in Carolina. Speaking of him, what that trade. I mean, I added Trimble where Tommy Trimble when I could.
Mm-hmm.
But Marshall is like that big slot. Do they use him in sort of a tight endy-ish way now? Does it
tight endy-ish? I like that. No, I'm using that in a sentence later this week.
But do they use him in that way? I think it'll be interesting to see how those targets kind of are divided, because Arnold was getting some targets.
Sure. Sure. There's no doubt. All right, every seat is the best seat at M&T Bank Stadium. Don't miss a moment of Ravens football this season. Single game tickets are now available at BaltimoreRavens.com/tickets. Is there anything else big story-wise this week?
I mean, not big story-wise. I mean, as far as waiver wires go, I think, we're talking about speculative ads. I think with the news that Marlon Mack is on the trading block, and he's looked good, even coming back from the Achilles, and they said last week that they held him out. And my first thought was like, oh, no, he came up sore or something. But they said they held him out purposely because they're looking for trade partners. He's worth to be on the back of your bench in most leagues. If you get to Sunday morning, somebody that you're like, well, there's no way I'm starting that guy, drop that guy and pick up Marlon Mack if he's available, because this news came out yesterday or the day before. But that's the type of speculative move. I mean, what if he gets traded to the 49ers?
Sure. Or Baltimore, for that matter.
Or Baltimore, for that matter.
For what it's worth, I picked up Le'Veon in both of my leagues, just on the off chance that he's ready to get called up, and nobody else has really seized the opportunity in Baltimore.
As I said, I just don't think it's going to be worth playing a Ravens running back.
Well, if anyone could seize it, right?
Until we hit a point in which you see like 2 or 3 consecutive weeks of a guy,
The fantasy community is so up in arms about Tyson Williams that the fact that he can't get touches. He's like in the top 5 with 6 10-plus yard carry rushes on the year, and the other names are just like McCaffrey and Cook and Hunt, and like the other names are like superstars in fantasy football, and they just won't give him the ball.
But this is, and I mean this with no disrespect to your community, this is what happens when fantasy people insulate themselves instead of talking to who's actually there and who knows what's going on in the city.
And I said that to everybody.
Where I tried telling everyone, like, you are getting carried away about Tyson Williams. Like, you're losing rational thought as you do this.
But you see what the community doesn't understand is why he's losing carries to Devontae Freeman. So that's
because they believe that Devontae Freeman isn't going to get somebody murdered back there.
Well, you and I can have a different conversation about that, because if that was your concern, why was he the only running back playing in the fourth quarter when you were in pass happy mode the entire fourth quarter? But
that's a fair question.
Be that as it may. We'll get back to fantasy football.
When we come back in, we're going to answer your questions. Get them in the comments or tweet me at Glenn Clark Radio, and we will pose them to KZ next. This is the Press Box Fantasy Football Show.
Need to hone your computer skills to boost your career? Or maybe you want an IT certification. CCBC Continuing Education has the courses and programs you need for a career in the computer field. And it's all tuition free. From the basics to specialized training, we have the classes you need, from hardware to programming to cybersecurity, and so much more. It's your choice. It's your career. Call 443-840-4700 or visit ccbcmd.edu/computer training.
Glory Days Grill's popular Oktoberfest menu is back, and it features their delicious chicken schnitzel, 2 chicken cutlets, hand-breaded in herb panko and pan-fried until golden brown, served with mustard cream sauce, mashed potatoes, and roasted vegetables. Their menu also includes your favorites like the Oktoberfest Brewer's Platter, Brewer's Sausage Sandwich, Prussian Pretzel Rolls, Slam Dunk Pretzels, and Apple Cobbler. All of these meals pair well with their many Oktoberfest beers and Angry Orchard on draft. Dine on their patios or in their dining room, or order online at glorydaysgrill.com and pick up your favorites to take home. Glory Days Grill has been proud to serve the community for the last 25 years. Thank you, fans.
If you change lanes and brake suddenly in front of my tractor trailer, I won't be able to stop. Our lives could change forever. Trucks need room to stop. Don't cut it close.
Brought to you by the Maryland Department of Transportation State Highway Administration.
What's up, everybody? This is Tyus Bowser. I can't wait to see you guys for the Tyus Bowser Show this fall. We're going to be taking the show on the road all over the area. You can meet me and my very special guests. If you can't make it out, you can watch the show on live on Pressbox Facebook page or listen the next day. Find out more about where we'll be by checking out PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser. We'll see you all season long for the Tyus Bowser Show.
The next Tyus Bowser Show is Tuesday, October 19th at Twain's Tavern in Pasadena. It's brought to you by Pressbox, Grade 8's Memorabilia, and True Strong Services.
All right, back in here on the Pressbox Fantasy Football Show, that is, of course. I'm Glenn Clark. He's Kyle Ottenheimer, but that is Ken Zalis, your host of the program. I knew that. KZ, Underdog Fantasy Football has been a lot of fun. We're still giving away free money. You download the app, you go to UnderdogFantasy.com, you use the code PRESSBOX, and when you deposit $10 or more, we give you $10 free to play with as well. What are you doing on Underdog Fantasy Football?
Well, right now I'm looking at the over-unders for this week, and if you...
What piques your interest?
So the two that pique my interest is the Trevor Lawrence over-under 14.5 rushing yards.
Ooh.
As we've learned from the shows, I like props that one play can make it for me, and you can see that he's rushed.
The third down scramble.
Just a scramble. He's been under duress. The James Robinson over 3.5 receptions interests me a little bit, and then the Tyler Boyd 5.5 receptions is an interesting number. With T. Higgins out, I think that
you're looking to get a little action tonight.
Oh yeah, I got a couple of lineups going tonight, and then there's the rivals. We're playing the rivals this week a little bit. So completions: Joe Burrow versus Trevor Lawrence. Number of completions: Burrow is plus 1.5, so you get. So if they both get 20, Burrow wins.
Burrow went through 18 times last week.
I know he only did that last week, so it's. I like these. They're fun.
They are.
They're fun. And if you put $1 down, all you got to do is put $1 down, and you get 5 right, you win $20. I mean, you can't beat that.
Love it. Love it. All right, UnderdogFantasy.com or the Underdog app. Again, use the code PRESSBOX. I'm actually going to start with this question because I find it fascinating, and I did not know this. This is from Dave. Dave says, Glenn, asked KZ if he knew that Yahoo switched things this week so you can now search players by IR eligibility. And so he's looking at the guys that are all IR eligible
Did
in
not
his
know
league.
this, number one. I only have one league on Yahoo anymore.
I was unaware that this
I was unaware.
I don't know why they wouldn't do this on every platform.
Yes.
Like, this seems to
It
be
seems
quite
very
valuable.
smart.
He says, I am in a fantasy league. Oh, he's in a keeper league. Got it.
Keeper
Sorry,
league.
you just didn't
Okay,
say that
I would
right,
hope he's in a
Dave.
fantasy
Yes,
league.
yeah, you're in a keeper league. I'm in a keeper league, and I had been using a spot on Travis Etienne because of something Glenn said a couple weeks ago. I did admit that I was using a spot on Travis Etienne. Not that I have any idea if he's going to be a keeper of mine,
Sure,
but why not, right?
If you have the room.
He says, now I'm looking at the list, and I'm seeing guys like Jerry Jeudy and Michael Gallup that are IR eligible and sitting out there to be had. Should I bury Travis Etienne and pick up one of those guys?
I really like Judy. I mean, Judy should be, pick up one of those. I would pick up Judy.
When is Michael Gallup supposed to be back?
I don't know, but he's the third banana in that situation. So I like Michael Gallup as a player, but I don't know how many targets, and he's coming back to a team that has figured out that they're going to throw the ball to the tight end 7 to 8 times a game between the two, Jarvin and Schultz, and you got CD, you got Cooper, you got Zeke looked like Zeke last week. Gallup's a good player. I don't know how much fantasy value he has. Judy needs to be owned in every fantasy league. I mean, even if you're not using your IR spot, like take the last guy off your bench, throw him away, and put Judy on your bench. Yeah, good. I wouldn't do it instead of ETN because I value running backs over wide receivers. But I would get Judy on my roster somehow.
Okay, all right. It seems like a lot that you're carrying. I don't know who's got, especially as we get into bye weeks. I don't know who's got the roster flexibility to be able to do all those things.
You see the roster flexibility, but I mean, if Judy's available in any of my leagues, I'm going to pick him up.
I hear you. I like Jerry Judy as a player.
I mean, supposedly he's
like that would be a scenario in one of my, like, because I was the guy, I was the ATN guy. Like it would be a similar scenario where I'm using my other IR spot on Cam Akers and like.
Yeah, I mean, you can, sometimes you just can't do it. I mean, I have one where I'm using my 2 RI spots right now on
good old Rhode Island spots.
Yes.
I said 2 RI spots.
I thought I said IR.
I know you thought you said
it. Okay. On Dobbins and Irv Smith. I don't know that I would get either one rid of for either one. Maybe a running back that I liked, but yeah, I mean that's how we play the game.
So I'm in a position where I could drop one of, if I was to carry Judy, and not on an IR. If I was to keep Akers, I mean, obviously I'm going to keep Akers.
Yeah, Akers.
But if I was going to keep ATN and not put Judy on the IR, I would have to drop one of Eli Mitchell, Rondale Moore, Brandon Ayuk.
Rondale, potentially.
I mean, I could drop Rondale, and I told everybody last week that was a ridiculous amount of money people were going to spend on him because you don't know where the ball's going. And we talked about AJ Green had a week, and Kirk's had weeks, and he was a broken thing, and he caught a pass and ran 60 yards. I can drop Rondale.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I will do it then. All right. Let's talk about me because obviously I'm the one that means
the most important.
But I did like that question, Dave. That's good.
That was a good question.
I appreciate the fact that Yahoo's doing that.
ESPN, you've been able to do it on ESPN also.
Have you? Yeah. Okay. I did not know that. I did not. I have learned something today. All right. So I'm assuming that. Oh boy, I actually don't know what I'm assuming. Here are my options. I'm assuming that I'm going with Dalvin Cook as long as he plays.
If he plays, yes.
Yes. Then my options are DeAndre Swift, who I like a lot. Then my third running back could be my flex could be any of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chuba Hubbard, James Robinson.
Oof. Or look at you with all the running backs.
I'm trying, man.
Look at you.
But I feel like I'm going to regret using my waiver priority on Chuba Hubbard. This means for sure that one of my guys is going to get hurt, and I lost my waiver priority to get the guy that I needed.
Well, I'm going to go Chuba.
Okay.
I'm going to go Chuba. I like Robinson tonight, but the short week, it could be an ugly
Since
game.
He's been pretty good against the run this year.
They have. Well. It's a weird game. You can see it be very low scoring.
Now, I guess the only other question is, am I starting? I'm definitely starting Jamar Chase over Hollywood Brown. That's for sure. Am I starting Brown over Hubbard?
No.
And are we buying into Ayuk again after 1 week, or
I'm not buying in? It's encouraging.
Yeah, it's certainly encouraging.
It's encouraging. I feel better about him. Like if I had to use him in my flex this week because I have injuries and stuff, I'm not totally upset about it like I would have been 2 weeks ago. But yeah, I mean, look, the snap rate is up. The snap rate was up. The targets were up. Whatever Sheffield is, Trent Sheffield, he wasn't on the field.
Trent Sherfield.
Whatever his name is. I'm
you
sure
hate him.
Lovely,
I understand you hate him because
he's a lovely human being, but I really don't want him taking snaps away from Ayuk or Debo. So
I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel better about him.
Nick Kelly wants to know James Robinson or Chase Edmonds.
Robinson for me. I really liked how they used him. I liked that he was involved all over the place in passing game. Good week last week. I would assume, maybe not as much because it's the short week, so maybe we get a little bit more of Hyde just to annoy us tonight, but I like I like how they used Robinson finally.
This is a similar problem that I am sort of contemplating in a few of my leagues. I was a guy who drafted the Broncos because I saw the matchups for the first 3 weeks and said, I love that. But I was also saying I also kind of like the Broncos defense. I think it's pretty good. The matchups have run up, and this is what Chris is saying. The matchups have run up. Now they're facing the Ravens. I don't really want to carry two defenses. I like the Broncos, and I feel like I might want to play them in future weeks, and I don't really love what's out there on the waiver wire. Can you ask KZ generically how he feels about the Broncos defense moving forward, and who maybe some of the waiver wire pickups would be that would be slam dunks that he'd be willing to drop the Broncos defense in order to get?
Well, there are no slam dunks that are going to be available. I mean, if you're dropping the Broncos and you don't want to carry two defenses, you're basically saying, okay, I'm going to go the streaming route for the rest of the season, unless you can get the Broncos
Which
back.
is, by the way, what I normally
Which
do
is fine.
anyway.
It's fine. I mean, there's nothing.
I'm a
wrong.
two-defense man.
I mean, I
have
am
no
too.
idea.
But then when I draft the Washington,
He's got me picking up Jerry Jeudy and not putting him on IR. How am I coming up with these roster spots?
Washington potatoes or whatever we want to call them.
I always make sure I've got one that I like for a matchup next week, in addition to what I'm playing this week.
I try to do it, but I
So let me-
like the Broncos.
Let me give you an example, by the way. In one league.
The whole thing. Wait a minute. Let me answer this
all
question. The whole thing. I like the Broncos going forward. I don't. Again, if you're facing the Chiefs or the Ravens or the Chargers, high octane teams, yeah, you don't love them. This week, look, Cincinnati's probably on the waiver wire, worth a shot. The Titans are on the waiver wire, probably worth a shot. I picked up the Saints in one league. I don't know how they were available, but they're an option. Like if the Saints were available, that's a team that I would say, okay, I can run with them. I know they're going to have some tough matchups along the way, but you can't run against them. So they make people very one-dimensional, which is a good thing.
I've got the Titans available in one of the leagues where I have the Broncos. I would have to drop one of. I could drop Juwan Johnson.
You could. I'm okay with it at this point. I mean, he's going to have a good week, but they're not throwing. I don't know what they are. I really don't know what they are right now. I mean, outside of Kamara, it's tough to guess what they're doing offensively and where the targets are going, and they're not going to the tight ends.
All right. Well, then I'll do it. I'll do it since you demanded I do it.
I didn't demand
No, I heard you say do it
demand.
or
I
I'll
said
never do this show again,
okay
which I
with
thought
it.
was a
I said I
little
was
over
okay
the
with
top.
it.
All right, go ahead, Kyle. I'll regroup here for a second.
So, traded for Chuba Hubbard. He's a sure thing in my running back, crapshoot that I currently have in one of my leagues. I am now left to decipher between the group of Damian Harris, Javonte Williams, and Leonard Fournette for my other running back position. Now, my reasoning here is if Gio Bernard is out, I think the play is Fournette. Harris scares me because they seem to be sort of game flow dependent, and I expect them to be playing from down. What would you do in my situation?
I'd probably go Fournette. He's a little safer.
But is it dependent on Bernard being out?
No, not for me. Harris is the third one on my list here. Because,
The Ravens' tackling issues give you more confidence in Javonte Williams.
he's the highest on my list. My only problem with Williams,
Melvin Gordon.
well, is not really Melvin Gordon, is that Javonte Williams, most of his damage this year has kind of been in a mop-up situation. And he fumbled last week on the goal line.
He did.
And then we didn't see him again. And I know the game was in hand and it was late. I worry about a team. The Ravens do cause fumbles from time to time, and I worry if there's an early fumble with him this week, like we don't see him again. So the safest thing for me to do would be to play Fournette.
I hate Fournette.
I do too.
I hate him. He's the most uninspiring
I know.
player to watch
All he's got to
ever.
do is get you 50 and a touchdown.
Well, I don't know that he will, for
I
what
don't
it's
know
worth.
that he will either.
All right, so now at the flex, that leaves me with Javonte Williams, Damian Harris, Jacoby Myers, who I'm leaning, Tim Patrick, and Christian Kirk.
I want to see it. I didn't see anything yesterday on Hopkins. He was very non-Hopkins-like. He was not healthy with the rib injury the week before. If he's kind of limited this week, and unfortunately, I didn't see anything with him yesterday that says he was limited, so I assumed he practiced.
Doesn't scare you that Jalen Ramsey largely operates out of the slot?
I don't know that Kirk's always in the slot. The way they rotate their wide receivers all over the field. I no, because I don't think he's not going to follow Kirk around. So I don't. Sometimes they have more in the slot. They even have Hopkins in the slot sometimes. The way they move him around. I like Myers though of them because I like the targets. He's got the eye.
You should get an uptick with James White being out.
Good floor. Good. With White, you got a couple of extra targets in the range that he likes to operate
Figure they'll have to throw a good bit.
Yeah.
Now, would you play Kirk over Marquise Brown?
Okay, I'm gonna take what I saw last week out of the equation.
Agreed.
And all of our feelings out. I'm gonna be very positive because this is the fantasy football show. And
I never said we had to be positive, though. Yeah.
He was open all day.
No doubt.
So.
You told me not to trade him for Henry Ruggs this week. You said do not trade Marquise Brown for Henry Ruggs.
I did.
Good advice, I think.
Yes. I now that I think about it even more, it's good advice. Glad I said that. No, he's no, I would not. I would start Brown. Okay. Again, he was open all day. Yeah. I guess we're going to – until he drops the ball the next time, I guess we're just going to ignore it as a bad game. And I know Brian Billick on the Glenn Clark radio show.
Who?
Brian Billick on the Glenn Clark radio show kind of tried to make excuses for him about the lighting in the Silverdome and all that fun stuff.
They definitely don't play in the Silverdome anymore.
Wherever they play. Whatever.
I believe. By the way, I still don't know that they've actually ripped the Silverdome down. It might just it fell into.
What are they in now?
Ford Field. Yes.
Ford's Field.
Yeah.
Okay, the indoor field that they play in. We're explaining.
He said Ford's Field like it was Ford's Theater, and by the way, considering some of the things that have happened there, apropos.
Not on purpose.
Stay with Brown.
I'm staying with Brown.
All right.
I'll for one more I'll take to any semblance of purple glasses I own off and say, yes, he was open all day. He's targeted often. He's the number one receiver in that offense.
All right, so with Higgins being out.
We're still doing this.
I got more, yeah. With Higgins being out, we've got Myers in his place, but that leaves me at flex with a decision between Corey Davis and Emmanuel Sanders.
Kind of like Sanders. Good matchup.
Is it a good matchup?
It is. Pretty decent.
All right, fair enough. And lastly, on the last team that we've got here.
And they've decided they're going to throw the ball again. So
yeah, I hear you. Kareem Hunt or Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
I'm going to tell you Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who I know was everybody's, most hated, but you look up at the stats and 15 touches minimum a game and had a good game last week. Philadelphia just was bulldozed last week, and
seems like a safe bet. Gronkowski scores a touchdown this week, right?
Doesn't he do it? Yeah, I think that. I don't know what the odds are of that. I know they're minus odds, but yeah, it would seem like somehow anytime they're in the red zone, Gronk's getting the first look.
Particularly in New England.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, that's just got to happen.
All right.
Need to hone your computer skills to boost your career, or maybe you just want an IT certification? CCBC Continuing Education has the courses and programs you need for a career in the computer field, and it's all tuition-free. From the basics to specialized training, we have the classes you need, from hardware to programming to cybersecurity, and so much more. It's your choice. It's your career. Call 443-840-4700 or visit ccbcmd.edu/computer training. Anything else we need to know this week, KZ?
No, just kind of watch. The Cook situation is the biggest thing. If he plays, you play him. I mean, we've learned that from guys like him and guys like McCaffrey. Eli Mitchell looks like he is on the right side of returning this week for the 49ers, so they obviously do not trust Trey Sermon.
Isn't it Elijah Mitchell? Or they call him Eli?
They call him Eli.
Okay.
Yeah. But it is Elijah.
Okay.
But
I was just curious.
So now we know that.
Yeah.
And it's so much.
Any other brain busters?
Rhode Island spot.
It's so much easier for me to say Eli.
It is.
So he looks like the guy if you want to try that back.
I was trying to think of who the famous. I was thinking of the Eli from There Will Be Blood. That was trying to think of what Eli. Why do I have an Eli in my mind? It was There Will Be Blood. Was there an Eli in Righteous Gemstones too?
I believe
I
so.
believe there was. Yeah, 100%. When are we getting season 2 of Righteous Gemstones? For Christ's sakes, let's get on that.
I know, please.
God, it was perfect.
I mean, it was a great show.
All right.
Never seen it.
At fans, what?
Never
What's
seen
wrong with you?
I
It's
watch
tremendous.
sports.
Watch Righteous Gemstones, bro.
Okay.
It was tremendous.
Okay.
At Fans Fantasy on Twitter is how you follow him. He'll be back for Project Game Day on Sunday. We will see you when that one is over. KZ, appreciate it, pal.
Thank you very much.
Talk to you next Thursday. This has been the Press Box Fantasy Football Show.